Hello children and welcome to the online teaching session. Now, this is the last topic in asexual reproduction and the topic is vegetative propagation. Now see, what is the meaning of vegetative propagation? Now, propagation can also be called as reproduction. So, the term is vegetative reproduction or vegetative propagation. Now, the definition is regeneration of new plants from the body of the mother plant other than the sexual organs. Now, in case of plants, the sexual organs are present in the flower. So, we can say that it is the production of new plants or the formation of the new plants from the body of the mother plant other than the flowering part. So, this is the vegetative propagation. Now, what are the other part of the plant? It can be root, it can be shoot, it can be leaves. So, we can say that the vegetative reproduction or the vegetative propagation takes place via underground stem, subaerial stem, roots, leaves and bulbils. Now, this is called as natural vegetative propagation. The reason why it is called as a natural vegetative propagation, only one, just because by the nature or automatic, some parts of the root get modified and then they convert or they produce the new plant. In the same way, some parts of the leaf, they modified and then they forms the bud. Some part of the stem and some part of the base of the flower, that is inflorescence of the flower, they produce the new plant automatically. Then this is called as the natural vegetative propagation. Now, next part of the vegetative propagation is artificial. And the meaning of artificial is the production of new plant from the body of the mother plant by some manual efforts. For example, cutting, layering and grafting. Now students, in our course, we have to study natural vegetative propagation. That is, we have to study about underground stem, subaerial stem, roots, leaves and bulbils in detail. So now let us start the natural vegetative propagation in detail. Now, in case of natural vegetative propagation, we have the first term that is called as the underground stem. Now children, these are some stems which are modified and then they remain inside the ground, that is they remain underground and modified some birds. Now these birds develop to grow the new plant. For example, we have rhizome. Now see, what is this rhizome? This rhizome are thick structure. Okay, these are thick and prostrate structure and then they grow underground in horizontal way. That is, they horizontally grow or they grow horizontally underground. This is rhizome. And the examples of rhizome is ginger, okay, then kana, then banana and turmeric. Now, I will draw one structure of a ginger. Suppose if I am drawing one ginger like this, okay, then these ginger contain this type of structure. If you will see the ginger, then you can see this type of structure is present all around its body. And here there is root and these portions are called as nodes. And students, from this place only a new plant originates. Now, this stem remains underground and the new plant germinate from here. So, this is the example of a rhizome. Now, our next example is tuber. You must be knowing the best example of tuber is potato. All these potatoes, they are modified. Let me write first. Tuber. These are modified stem which are formed by accumulation of reserve food material. That is, if the potato is here, then this is a reservoir of food material. We can say it is a reservoir of food material. Okay, this is potato and it is an underground stem. It is swollen portion. Now this potato contains some scar-like structure, and these scar-like structures are called as the eyes. Now from this eye only we can have a different plant from this eye. Now see, the modified stem is underground and the new plants, they start germinating from the scars. So this is the example of tuber, that is potato. Now third is bulb. In case of bulb, as the name, from the name it is clear, that is the structure is something like bulb, like this. And in this case, the common examples are onion and then garlic and then tulip. Okay. Now, again it is a reservoir of food material. It is disc-like structure, or we can say that it is a concave, swollen, disc-like structure which store food and it remains under the ground, and from here only the new plant originate. So this is all about underground stem. Now we will see some points or some important terms in subaerial stems. Now, in case of natural vegetative propagation, we have second example, that is subaerial stem. And in case of subaerial stem, we have four different examples. One is runner, then offset, then sucker, and afterwards stolon. Now, let us start the runner. Now see what this runner is. Actually what happens, in some of the plants, the stem runs parallel to the surface of the ground, and at the different nodes a new plant germinate, and the common example is dhoop grass, cynodon. What I was saying, the runners are cylinder, prostrate, that is hard, and run on the surface of the soil. This is about the runner. Now see, suppose this is the soil, then these are some roots, and this is the plant. Plant is growing and the stem runs parallel on the surface of the soil, and wherever the node touches the soil, the new plant germinate. Okay. Again, the next stem will start moving on the surface of the soil, and wherever it will touch the surface of the soil, a new plant will germinate. This is the example of runner. Now students, now from this portion till this portion is called as the internode. You must have read this thing in the previous class. In case of runner, there may be many nodes and internodes, or we can say that the branch that runs on the surface of the soil, it must be very long, and if it is long, then it will contain many nodes and internodes. And wherever the node will touches the surface, the new plant will generate. Again the same, nodes and internodes, nodes and internodes. Again it will touch the soil. From the node side, a new plant will germinate. So this is about the runner. Now, I told you in case of runner, the example was doob grass. And one more example is wood sorrel. Now see what happens in case of offset. Students, offset is same as runner. Clear? But offset occurs in aquatic plant. Clear? This is the basic difference between the runner and the offset. Offset is cylinder prostate run on the surface of the ground, runner, and offset occurs in aquatic plant. Now suppose if I draw the water body here, and suppose if I draw one aquatic plant, we all know that the stems and the roots of the aquatic plant are swollen. Why they are swollen? Just because their cells and tissues are made up of the parenchyma to capture the air so that they can breathe in water. So, because they all are made up of the parenchyma, they all are swollen. So, the plant will be very short and swollen. Okay? Now, it will develop one more branch and one very stout or the short branch. And then at the node of this branch, a new plant will originate. Once again, a small branch will move like this horizontally on the surface of the water and the new plant will originate. Now see the difference between these two children. Here, the stem is long, consists of many nodes and internodes, and the stem is cylinder and hard. Okay. Here what happens? The stem is soft, swollen, and there is only one internode in between the nodes. That is, at one node the plant originate. After a small growth, small development, again when the node comes, the new plant germinate. So this is about offset in case of aquatic plant. The example of this is water hyacinth, also called as Eichhornia. Now see children, Eichhornias, E-I-C-H-H-O, Eichhornia. Now see children, this Eichhornia is an exotic plant. Now the meaning of exotic plant is the plant that we import from the different country. So this plant has come to India from some other country. Now reason, because this plant is very beautiful and it has imported in India just to enhance the beautification of the water bodies. And at that era, at that time, the plant was grown on the pond. But what happens? The small stems develop and within few time, just reproduction was double and the whole water body was filled with this plant Eichhornia. Now because of that, what happens? On the surface of the water, everywhere there were this plant. And because of this, the other aquatic life, they disturbed. Because now there was no proper sunlight, no proper air for the organism, those who were living inside the water body. And that's why, students, this Eichhornia is also called as Terror of Bengal. Understood? Why it is called as the Terror of Bengal? Just because of this offset type of growth, within no time or within very short days, the plant automatically develops and it covers the whole water body. And once it covers the whole water body, the other organisms which are living inside the water, they do not get proper sunlight and proper air to breathe, and that's why it is a problem. So it is called as the terror of Bengal. Now, next example is sucker. I'm drawing sucker here only so that I can tell you the difference. Clear? Now see, what is this? Sucker. Sucker is again a subaerial branch. Okay, same as this. It is a subaerial branch. Now see what happens. In case of runner, again, okay, in case of runner, the stem is moving horizontally on the surface. But in case of sucker, the stem will, suppose this is the soil, surface soil, the new horizontal stem will grow beneath the soil, that is inside the soil, underground. And at some places where there will be the node, the new plant will originate and come out. Once again, the stem will grow horizontally under the surface of the soil, and where there is a node, the plant will germinate. So this is the basic difference between runner and sucker. Keep this thing in mind. In runner, the plant is growing on the surface of the soil, and wherever the node touches the soil, the new plant originates. But in case of sucker, the stem is moving under the ground, and wherever the node gets nutrient and everything, it originates the new plant, and then the new plant comes out. Common example is chrysanthemum. Themu. This is the common example in case of sucker. Now, the last in case of subaerial stem is stolon. Now see what happens in case of stolon. Once again, come to the runner. The stem is moving on the surface. In case of sucker, the stem is moving under the ground. Now in case of stolon, the stem is over the surface of the soil. That is, the stem will move like this. And because the stem is soft, when it will become long, automatically it will bend, and then it will touch the surface of the soil, and again the new plant will grow. Again the stem will move over the surface of the soil. If it will touch, then again the new plant will grow. And the example of stolon is Fragaria. Okay, so what happens? The stem first grow upward, then it become oblique, touches the surface of the ground, and again a new plant grows upward. The stem become long, soft, move oblique, touches the surface of the ground, and once again moves up. This is all about subaerial stem. So I think so. Now the points are clear. In case of runner, plant grows on the surface. In case of sucker, the plant moves or stem moves under the surface. And in case of stolon, over the surface. And offset is a growth in the stem that occurs in the aquatic plant. Now, the next topic will be leaves and bulbils and roots. Now children, after underground stem and subaerial stem, the next method of natural vegetative propagation is roots. Now, some plants, some roots of the plant, they develop buds, and through the buds, the new plant germinate. For example, Delbergia siso and Elbegia lebec. Now, in this, the roots of the plant develop buds, and from the buds, new plant grows. Now, in some of the plant, the roots modified into adventitious roots and the plant germinate through those adventitious roots. For example, tapioca, sweet potato and dahlia. Now this is the example of sweet potato where at the different points the new plant can be grown. Now after this root we have next example of leaves. Now see what happens in case of leaf. The common example of leaf is bryophyllum. Okay. Now in case of bryophyllum, kalanchoe can also be example. Now what happens in case of bryophyllum? The margins of the leaf, that is the margins, at the margins of the leaf, a new buds germinate like this. Okay. And these buds are called as foliar buds. Now see, when these buds become heavy or they mature or they attain some maturity, then they detach from the leaf and fall on the ground and germinate as a new plant. Now this is the example of germination of a new plant through the leaves. Now the last is bulbil. Now see students, what is this? Bulbil. In some of the flower, okay, the lower part of the inflorescence, they modified into the structure and that is called as the bulbil. And when this bulbil fall on the ground, then it develops into the new plant. See what I mean to say. Suppose this is a plant and suppose if this is the inflorescence. Now the meaning of inflorescence you have already read in the class 11, that is arrangement of flower. Now what happens? Some flower which is present on the inflorescence, the flower which is present at the lower part of the inflorescence, they develop a structure, okay, and they develop a structure called as bulbil. And when this bulbil fall on the ground, it germinates as a new plant. Clear? And the common example is agave. A-G-A-V-E. And one more example is globa. Okay, so this is all about bulbil. Now children, we have seen in case of natural vegetative propagation, that is with the help of underground stem. Underground stem, we have seen some examples like rhizome, tuber, and corm is also there, but that is not in the syllabus, so I have not taught you. We have seen tubers as well as the rhizome plus bulb. And after that we have seen subaerial. In case of subaerial, we have read about the runner. In case of runner, I taught you doob grass and wood stat. We have seen the sucker, the stolon and the offset. I told you that offset is on the water body surface, then sucker is underground and stolon is on the surface of the body, that is oblique. And then we have seen the roots. For the roots, if they develop from the bird, example is Dalbergia siso and Albizia lebec. And if it develops from the adventitious root, the example is tapioca, sweet potato and dahlia. Then in case of leaves, the example is bryophyllum and kalanchoe. And in case of bulbils, the example is agave and globa. Now in case of bulbil, on the inflorescence, the flower which is present at the base or lower flower, they changes or they develop into the new flower, new structure, that is called as the bulbil. Now children, this is all about asexual reproduction in organism. Now, Our next topic is sexual reproduction in organism, and the details of the topic is also given in chapter number 2 and 3. So now from the next video I'll start the chapter number 2 so that we can see the details of the chapter, all the sexual reproduction points. Now children, it's a request to you because now you are grown up children. So you all have to study hard as you all are staying at home where now you are not studying in a proper way. But it's a request to you all, whatever I am teaching you, you please write down their notes and you write down their examples, draw figures, the time you try to remember or memorize all these things. Okay? Now have a good day. Bye.